Alright, match 5 against Blue Blood. We're on the play once again, which is a great feeling, especially with this deck. So I decided to play Ponder turn 1, which is probably a mistake. I should have just played Evolving Wilds. Actually, I probably should have just played Mystic Sanctuary. Just because it opens us up to drawing Augur Bolus or Counterspell or Deprive or Spellstutter Sprite. Yeah, so one of the downsides of Mystic Sanctuary is it doesn't just come into play untapped all the time, but yeah. So we're playing against elves. Now I finally get my Evolving Wilds down. It looks like they might be playing around Force Spike. Okay, no, they're not playing around Force Spike. So they're able to get 2 things down. But I'm able to get a Ninja down. Oh, I should have probably played, not Ninja, Augur. I probably should have played Augur there. Because they could pretty easily play around it. Yeah, and they're playing around my Spellstutter. I guess my reasoning was that I wanted to hold up Bolt. Because they could very easily play 2 or 3 elves and get this out of Bolt range. But if I'd have counted the mana, they only had 2 green sources. I guess if they had Birchlore Rangers, which since they're playing an island, they probably are playing Birchlore Rangers. I don't know. All I know is this guy is a big problem for blue-red Delver. So you want to kill this guy as soon as you can. So I play Augur Bolus, I whiff. I probably should have held up blue. Just because I don't really need to kill either of these guys. I was kind of hoping to get a lightning bolt or something, but alright. And they play Lead the Stampede, playing around my counter spells. And they get a Fiend Torn Elves and a Timberwatch Elf, which is only 2 creatures, which isn't the best Lead the Stampede, but getting a Timberwatch Elf is still pretty good, and a random Mana Dork is always good for the Elves deck. So I draw my second red source. So I'm like, alright, I gotta get my ninja down. And at least I could represent, like, Counterspell, I think. I think that was what I was thinking, but then I thought, well, maybe I'll just get the Augur down. Because if they call my bluff and they play my Timberwatch Elf, I don't have a removal spell in my hand, so it's just going to win. So I figure maybe with all this card selection, I'll be able to find something that could deal with this Timberwatch Elf. And they don't actually end up playing it, which I think is a little weird. They play Distant Melody, which, I mean, is still pretty good. Distant Melody just draws them 4 cards or something. So, yeah, I'm still afraid of the Timberwatch Elf. And, but it looks like I'll probably be able to get in with my ninja, which is nice. So what do I do? I guess first things first, get in with ninja. They have so much life that I'm not even going to try and race them at this point. But if they block with Kurion Ranger, I'll be very surprised. I think the plan was to play accumulated knowledge into brainstorm or something like that. So I draw a counter spell, which is interesting. I can do all this stuff at instant speed, plus I can hold up spell stutter and counter spell. I probably should have played Mantle of Tides. I wasn't really afraid of it at this point because they have a Viridian Longbow. But because they have this longbow, they can equip and then play a 1-drop, which kind of gets my sprite. At the same time, they don't have very much mana. They only have like 6 mana, I think. So if they spend half their mana equipping longbow to something, maybe I'm okay with that. So maybe not playing the Tides was okay. It's an interesting thing to think about, though. So they play a Spring Bloom Druid, which I'm not going to counter. It ramps them a little bit. I will try and counter a Curion Ranger, and it works. And I'm going to AK twice. So, kind of lucky for me, my opponent's playing scared of counter magic, which I do have, and removal, which I don't have. But they're just slowly accruing value. So, this is the point where I want to get the Mantle online. I want to attack with Ninja, and they might double block, because Ninja's pretty good. Curion Ranger is good, but Spring Bloom Druid doesn't really matter. Excuse me. So I was just going to attack with Ninja, and I want my Ninja to live. I think my Ninja is more important than both of these creatures put together. So I play Mantle of Tides out. They just chump block. And I leave up counter magic for... Okay, they play Viridian Longbow and Elvish Vanguard. So one thing I can do here, which is pretty sweet, this is why I like Brainstorm so much in this deck, is I can counter the Vanguard with Spell Stutter, and then when they try and kill my fairy, I can just Brainstorm in response and then equip, so they can't kill my fairy, and I get to counter their guy. They can untap. Oh, wait, yeah, they could have untapped their own Curion Ranger, so I actually draw a bolt off the Brainstorm, so I kill it in response to one of the triggers, so they can't kill my Spell Stutter Sprite in response to the the instant equip. There's a lot going on. But now that they kind of been dirtling around, they've got 7 cards in their hand, but I feel like they're sort of pinched on mana, which is kind of weird for the Elves deck, but so I start beating in. They can't really attack me with anything. All their creatures are 1/1s. So this Augur is doing a really great job. And they are gaining a lot of life with the Well-Wisher, so I will have to attack them for damage eventually. I managed to pick up my Spell Stutter Sprite with the Ninja, and then off the Ninja, I think I draw another counter spell. So one of the kind of awkward things is that you can't use the Ninja draw triggers to pump your Fists of Flame, because these happen on damage. So damage has already happened, so it'd be useless to cast. But I get in for 6 and then draw 2 cards. So I play a Fairy Seer. I draw an accumulated knowledge, which is pretty sweet because I've got 2 in the yard. And I see Fairy Seer and Spell Stutter. I put the Spell Stutter on top because it's basically a counter spell at this point. I've got 2 fairies out. And I shouldn't have actually accumulated knowledge because they could ping my Fairy Seer. But I feel like if they kill my fairies here, that's fine. Like, it just lowers my fairy count by 1. I imagine they're probably saving the trigger for something like I don't know what they're saving for. Something like block my ninja and then ping it down. It's kind of unfortunate. My opponent really hasn't drawn any lands this game. Even though they're more than, well, not more than halfway, but almost halfway through their deck. But I feel like they've got to have something better to do than just equipping. But again, I have these sprites, I have these counter spells, so I can kind of deal with whatever they do. So yeah, I'm not really sure, but somehow I kind of just buried them in like card advantage. I don't even care about my own life total at this point. Like, sure, they can attack me for 2 or whatever if they don't want to add mana or gain life, but it's kind of a race with my creatures versus this Well-Wisher. Also, I want to get my ninja on this Augur Bolas. Yeah. So, I guess I'm thinking I really want to draw a removal spell to finally kill this Well-Wisher. So I'm drawing basically my entire deck at this point. So I'm pretty likely to find a removal spell, right? But I decide it's probably safer to just leave up all this counter magic because they do have 5 mana, right? Yeah, okay, so I play Spell Stutter, and then I brainstorm in response to the ping. So kind of good in the face of the longbow. They play another Fiendhorn Elves, which yeah, they're kind of don't have very much mana to play all the stuff that they have. One of the problems of elves is that sometimes you get stuck with a bunch of like Liz Alana Huntmaster in your hand and you can't cast them all. But I don't know how often that really happens. So I finally do get a removal spell. Now that I've only got 16 cards left in my library, I bolt the Well-Wisher because I gotta kill it eventually, or else I'm not gonna win. And they play a Timberwatch Elf, which I don't know if that's not the same one that they revealed. So I don't know. And then they play another Priest of Titania, and I just counter it. I'm like countering everything with Spell Stutters and using Brainstorm and the threat of accumulated knowledge to be able to, shift my Mantle of Tides over to whatever I want to equip to keep my my Spell Stutters resolving. So they play Copperhorn Scout and another life gain elf. So I'm slowly working them down, and they're finally at 18. So I put my ninja in to pick up my spell stutter as another counter spell and to push through a little bit more damage. And I'm able to Fist of Flame them out. And all 4 ninjas on the battlefield. Pretty sweet. Alright, so game 2. Like, that was actually kind of a close game. If I had a removal spell earlier, I would have felt a lot more comfortable. And if they just played a Timberwatch Elf on turn 2 or 3 or 4, I probably would have just lost. But they didn't realize, I think, that playing around counter magic, well, they wanted to play around me not having removal instead of not having counter magic. Does that make sense? I don't think that makes any sense, but you know what I mean. So I take out Dispel because it doesn't really have any hits. And I take out all the Fists of Flame because it's kind of situational. I don't know. I actually probably should have left Fists of Flame in. At least a couple. Because it could kind of act like a removal spell if I'm like blocking one of their guys with an auger. But I guess I feel like I'm not really as afraid of their big chunky guys attacking. And more what I want to do is just counter and kill all their stuff. Like the creature I'm most afraid of is Timberwatch Elf, and that card is never ever gonna attack me, so so I just bring in some Screds, and I bring in. I already said that I don't play Electricity, but I bring in some counter magic, and I take out 2 Fists and a Dispel. Alright, so this hand looks good enough. They're on the play, so we could just get run over, but one thing I like about this is that we're representing Counterspell on turn 2, but we still get to accumulated knowledge. So I think I keep this. Oh, wait. Damn it. Okay. I thought that was going to break the replay. I'm not sure. Sometimes elves just breaks the replay. Oh, God. Alright, so I play an Evolving Wilds turn 1 because I don't think it's really a big deal for me to get the Fairy Seer down early. And since I have 2 Evolving Wilds, one thing I can do is decide what land I want to fetch up. And since I don't really want to represent Counterspell, I'm more hoping to draw like a Scred or something and then kill this guy immediately before he can, protect himself. No such luck. I don't actually draw a removal spell. And I've only got 13 minutes left, so I'm like, okay, should I just concede? But I play the Augur, I pick up a Deprive, which is nice because it actually gives me a counter spell. So it actually gives me a counter spell, so I don't have to pretend that I've got one. And also, I've got 3 accumulated knowledge in my hand, which is basically as good as a ninja. In fact, it's probably even better in this situation, just because I'm not attacking into this. Although my opponent is being careful to just never tap out of Timberwatch Elf. Alright, so they play a Vanguard, which I decide, okay, I better counter that. So that thing's pretty threatening on its own, and even more so with the Timberwatch Elf. I tap my red mana for some reason. Yeah, they've got a ton of mana, so I'm like, alright, I better leave up Counterspell. I don't really care when I play this Fairies here. And now that they've got the Longbow online, it's kind of just like a bad preordain that doesn't draw me a card. So I'm like, alright, I might as well start drawing cards with accumulated knowledge. I believe I shuffle. Yeah, I don't really want to see Ninja. I'm not attacking. I don't really want to see Spellstutter either because they have a longbow. And I draw Mantle of Tides, which is good. And also Lightning Bolt, which is also good. It means if they ever tap this Timberwatch Elf, then I can bolt it. So I'm probably gonna play most of my deck at instant speed at this point. I have accumulated knowledge which can generate card advantage. And they play another Timberwatch Elf. I don't have a counter spell, which they probably realize. And I don't really have any way to look for one. So I accumulated knowledge into another lightning bolt, which is what I was hoping for. So this will let me play a lightning bolt on this Timberwatch elf. They'll protect it, and the next turn I can bolt it. Luckily, this one is still summoning sick. But then I've got to deal with the summoning sick one. I actually bolt that one so I can attack with Augur and then get my ninja through. I don't think they would have blocked regardless. But I haven't actually seen, I've only seen 2 extra cards this turn, so yeah, mostly I was just doing that to pick up my Augur. Skred's actually really good in this matchup. Who would have thought? Removal against elves. But it ends up playing a key role. So they attack me. Oh no, I attack them. And they're not going to pump with Timberwatch Elf because they know I have a removal spell. But I also have a Brainstorm, so they're going to try and kill my ninja. And I'm going to Brainstorm and equip with... Oh no, I didn't. What? Why didn't I do that? I guess Brainstorm just saves my ninja. And I don't really care too much about saving my own ninja. Because I have the faeries here, I think. Yeah, I don't actually know why I did that. Oh yeah, I know why. Okay. Because I want to leave up Spell Stutter. If they try and ping my guy in response, I want to be able to Brainstorm. And if I see a removal spell off the Brainstorm, then I'm going to want to be able to Skred the Timberwatch Elf. Yeah, just like this. So I didn't see a removal spell, but I think it's still useful to keep red mana open. Just because, oh god. Alright, so Kyrion Ranger is kind of bad news. It means they can pump something aggressively and then untap it with Kyrion Ranger. So I'm in kind of trouble. It also means they can protect their guy twice. Which I'm kind of banking on the fact that they're going to try and protect their guy twice. Another noteworthy thing is they only have 5 elves on the battlefield. So if I can somehow keep them from playing another elf, and they've only got 1 card in hand, so maybe I can. But if I can keep them from playing another elf, say with a counter spell, then next turn I'm going to draw Evolving Wilds. Or not draw it, I've got it in my hand. I could play it. And I'll have 8... Yeah, I'll have 8 lands in play. And I can Skred this guy. And they could protect it twice because they have Kyrion Ranger, but if I do draw another lightning bolt, then I can actually kill it. So, because I drew Counterspell there, that's actually really sweet. It means I can counter basically anything. And if they try and ping something, I can Brainstorm in response. And I've already said this before, but if I find a removal spell off the Brainstorm, then I can pick off this Timberwatch Elf. So they try and get my faeries here, which I'm not going to really put any effort into saving it. Brainstorm is kind of like a counter spell at this point. So anyway, I've got stuff to do with my mana. I decided to shuffle, I think, first to thin out my deck. I can't remember what's on the bottom. Maybe it would have been better to play Augur and then shuffle. But I find a Brainstorm, which is sweet. It's like having another counter spell. So I play another Augur. Take Op. They only have one card in their hand, and I don't really think they have anything. But maybe they do. So I'm kind of trying to goad them into blocking and then pumping something with Timberwatch, because then I can kill it. Unfortunately, they realize how many lands I have, and they probably realize I have a Scred in my hand, so they don't block. I get to draw a card, and I'm never going to move this Mantle of Tides off this Fairy Seer. So they kill my Ninja, which, again, I'm okay with it. I've got 7 cards in my hand. So I opt into another Brainstorm, which is perfect. Then I play Fairies here, trying to hit... Okay, Lightning Bolt's good enough. And then I Brainstorm it back into my hand. And now I can finally kill this Timberwatch Elf. So they give it plus, and then in response I Scred it. And then in response they untap it and give it plus, which doesn't do anything, because Scred deals 8 damage, but... I don't know. I guess they were thinking, maybe they miscounted, or maybe I'm gonna concede in response. Also, I'm ahead of my opponent on clock, which is kind of nice. But yeah, fortunately for me, it does actually kill the Timberwatch Elf, and now I'm leaving up 2 counter spells again. Although this one only counters something for 2. I actually decided to let Lead the Stampede resolve, and they hit 4 things off it. Yeah. But the way I see it is that I want to counter their actual threats, and this is probably only going to draw maybe 2, maybe 3 actual threats, but you'll see that I actually just drew 1. So I think I counter this Curion Ranger. Oh no, I don't. It really only matters if they have a Timberwatch Elf on the battlefield. They can make all the mana they want, but if I can keep Timberwatch Elf dead or not resolved, then I think I can just win the game. They didn't ping my fairies here either, which is sweet. Alright, so they're playing... What are they playing? Yeah, two games, and both of us almost use up our entire clock. I think at this point I'm probably just playing fast instead of playing well, but I am trying to play my best. Alright, I'm not sure what happened with the replay. I think basically what happened is they played Timberwatch Elf, and I probably countered it. I can actually counter it with a Spell Stutter Sprite. Actually, no, I can't, because they can untap their guy twice. So yeah, Spell Stutter Sprite not at its best, but it can still counter something for 1 or 2 mana. Also, at this point, Scred is sort of like a counter spell. Yeah, I'm not sure why the replay isn't working. Anyway, if I remember correctly, basically what happens is I draw Ninja, and I Ninja my guys in, and then I just beat them down. It might be nice to have Electricity in the board, just because for this game in particular, it would have been really good to just wipe their board, and I wouldn't have to worry, but it wasn't totally necessary to win. I'll probably just take the Relic out of the deck. I'm going to show you the deck real fast. Okay, that's not it. Alright, so the deck is, let's see, I believe it's called Muta Delver, which isn't exactly the best name for the deck. When I started it, it had 4 Mutagenic Growth and 4 Delver of Secrets, and now it has 0 of both of those. So, not exactly the best name for the deck. Annul, I'm not sure if I want Annul. It's good against Boggles, and it's sort of passable against Tron and Boros, but I think I'm going to take these 3 cards out. And I think Electricity might actually even be better against Boros. So I'm going to bring in Electricity. I'm going to bring in probably that one enchantment that brings a guy down. Just for Stompy, I guess. Maybe another Scred. I'm not sure. I'm kind of hoping I just dodge the Tron matchup. But I feel like against Tron, we've kind of got some action. So against Tron, I would probably bring in something like this. And probably take out the bolts, the Screds. Maybe the Fairy Seers. Actually, probably Mantle of Tides. Yeah, Mantle of Tides can go. I would just leave in this stuff. And hope to get an early Ninja. I think Ninja is very good against Tron. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you again eventually.